And to me, I think that's why storytelling and realness and all of this is coming even more to light and wanting more of that high touch connection, because we're wanting and craving that personal touch that a lot of people are pulling away from because of it.
Step into the world of success with your brand amplified, the ultimate podcast designed to unravel the intricacies of thriving businesses. I'm your host, Annika Jackson, and I'm on a mission to uncover the stories, strategies, and secrets that have propelled entrepreneurs and business leaders to success. I am thrilled to have Vanessa Wilde on the show today. Vanessa, you talk about something and you work in a field that a lot of people think it's mystifying, right? How do you write copy that converts? How do you write things that actually make a difference? Now, we'll get into the AI discussion because now a lot of people are using AI to do that. But I want to go back. Your degrees are in elementary education, teaching. You have a Master of Education in Curriculum and Instruction. But you've ended up being a coach, a marketing strategist, a copywriter, a creative manager. And of course, now you have had your own business for over 4 years. So please tell us a little bit about that transition, because I love writing, I do branding, but I'm also, I teach university. So a lot of the same interests, but the copywriting part is something, it's definitely a skill other people have that I will happily leave them to. So.
I understand that. A lot of people I talk to say the same thing. So yeah, my dream was always to be a teacher. I love teaching, and that was my direction. That was where I was going until I realized motherhood was really my number one. That was what I really wanted to put priority over everything else. And so when I got into teaching, which I thought was my dream job, I realized it wasn't my dream job for the rest of my life. And there is obviously some things with teaching that were tough, but I didn't want to leave my kids. Like, I didn't want to miss their first step. Just had baby number 4. So I have 4 kids at home. And yes. So I didn't want to miss those things. I didn't want to miss the field trips and be like, sorry, like I have to teach. And it's hard to take time off while you're teaching. I also knew that I couldn't be a good mom and a good teacher. I would be exhausted at the end of the day because I was without kids. So I started like jumping in before even thinking about kids in the digital space, seeing what was possible. At that time, it was the network marketing world, which was pretty popular at that point to come online with. And I was like, this is interesting. People are making money online. Like, this is really cool. So I started like jumping in, watching YouTube videos because there wasn't as much like coaching and stuff at that point, and really went into understanding marketing. And then through the years, took courses, understanding more and more and more. And I started writing for a friend of mine, best friend. She did branding and websites at the time. And that wasn't her strength, was writing at that time. She was like, don't give that to me. I don't want it. So I would write it. And she eventually goes, why are you not getting paid for this? And I'm like, I can. And she was like telling me the potential of copywriting out. And this was before AI came about. And I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe I should do this. I have an understanding of marketing. It's not just that academic side, the educational side. I actually understand marketing because I've been in it for a number of years at this point. And so I combined my experiences and started copywriting, which then led me to working with agencies, being a creative director. I worked with an agency for maybe 4 months and they're like, be our creative director. And I was like, what? But these things I just grasped. And so I've just fallen in love with this world and understanding why people buy and converting them and getting them into your world. So that's kind of the quick overview of my journey.
Yeah. I always wanted to have 4 kids. I only have 1, but I will say I got the best one possible since I wasn't given 4, right? But I did have a time in my life where I worked and then I became a stay-at-home mom and then I got divorced. I had to go back to work. And the hardest thing for me was knowing that my daughter had a state aftercare because I was an involved mom and I still am to this day. So when I look at opportunities, 100% I have to look for things that work around her schedule. She's in high school now and I only have her for another, year and a couple of months in the house. But that's a really important time to me. So I'm going to be, even though she'll be able to drive, she's taking her driving test in a week. I still want to be able to take her to school, take her to activities, or just be able to be there when she needs me or just when we want to spend time together. So kudos to you for realizing that really early on, that that's actually a priority for you. And it would be a disservice to your future family to not have a career that would work. And I think that's something that you discovered early that a lot of people are now putting their foot down on. A lot of us are saying we have to have flexibility. And if we can't find that within the traditional world of work, we're going to create it for ourselves.
It's been beautiful to see so many more women coming out. And it's not like build, build, go, go, go. We're tapping into that like feminine side of like, I can be this incredible mom and nurture and stuff. And then I can show up for my clients or for those that I work with and support them as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So at what point did you decide I'm working for these other people? It's fine, but I really need to hang my own shingle.
Yeah. So I was with an agency and I went from creative director working that. And it was like, I felt like I was on call all the time in the agency. And I was getting messages early, like what's going on here, what's happening here, putting out fires all the time. I'm like, I can't work all the time. Like, this is not possible. So I actually sent my resignation letter, email, by having my son press the send button. Oh, he couldn't do that.
Oh my gosh.
It was so scary.
And I'm not adverse to having him on camera and being able to like tell people this is the reality of working moms.
After my son pressed it, or like even right before, I was like, this is so I can get more time with you guys. This is so I'm not working around the clock. Because even though I was working from home for it, it was just like this on-call 24/7 thing. And I just couldn't do it anymore. And I would feel guilt for going on field trips and would feel like I have to like go on my phone still. And that was what they created. So that was the point where I was like, okay, I've got to get flexibility. I shouldn't have to ask for days off to go on field trips. That's not why I did this in the first place. So that was kind of my wake up call of like, let's do this. Like, let's actually go and create that schedule that I want.
Wow. And I just want to say for people who are not watching this, Vanessa does have her youngest newborn with her right now. So if you hear a few little baby coos, I'm here for that. Because we have to be realistic also about our lives. And you're telling me that you just had him in January. He wouldn't go down for his nap, but he's tired. And so let's celebrate the fact that you can be on an interview or you can participate in a webinar and still be there with your son, with your children, right? I think that's something that we need to celebrate more than we need to go, oh my gosh, that's not professional. Because what does that mean anymore, right?
I feel like the COVID definitely woke everyone up. Like we realized that with everyone having to go on Zoom, that there is a times that you have to like overlap that motherhood and that business. And that's okay. Like it's okay to do that. Like I was just on a webinar rocking him yesterday and people were just like, oh, I'm like, it makes you real too.
Yeah.
As
Exactly. Yeah. And that's something else that we were woken up to during COVID is that we want to work with people who are authentic, real, showing us their values from the beginning and so that we know we align with them. Now, when it does come to copywriting, whether it's newsletters, social posts, email campaigns, everything in between, obviously email newsletters are a really great technique for converting, but I hesitate to do them because I get overwhelmed by the number of newsletters I get from people. I'm not the kind of person who feels it's not genuine to me to send an email out every day for the sales offer. I know a lot of people do that. It honestly turns me off. And I want to put those, I kind of put them in a read through folder that I may or may not get to. So I want to hear about your experience and what you've found are the techniques or things that people should think about implementing to get copy that converts.
So within emails right now, people are seeking for a connection. So you love branding, and that's going to be like that first step even before we jump into the copy side. So is really getting that brand in place because what they're looking for in emails is really to one, connect with you. That means bringing in stories. Stories are such like a way that when they start reading and get pulled into that story, they want to continue to stay connected with you because they're seeing parts of themselves in those stories. And it's not just like a sale, it's a way to like really see themselves in this situation. So they want more from you. The other side of all this too, within understanding your brand that you bring in your copy is knowing where your stance are. People are over like the how-to content. They're looking for more of that guiding light right now. They're looking, I call it like your light, the lighthouse, because there's so much noise. And when you know what helps you stand apart from everyone else and you can be that lighthouse for them in the emails, they want to stick around to read your emails and then want to stay in your world even more, which includes like going into your courses and stuff. So that's what I am finding. Like if you're leading into your brand by telling stories, by connecting like what's different and really guiding them to that outcome and positioning yourself as that guide versus like the steps to like, number one, we need to do this. Number two, we need to do this. It's going to feel like more that educational how-to that they can get from AI these days and that they're overloaded with, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely have overwhelm, like the number of tools that I look at, that I review, the articles to read for all of the how-to stuff, 100%, 100%. Yeah. So what are some things that people do need to think about? They need to think about the storytelling. How do you create that hook, that right, the things that will get people to continue reading, to reach out or to look at your website, book time with you? And what are the different areas of business that you help with? Are you also writing copy for ad campaigns? You said, for websites, for blog posts, newsletters, LinkedIn. Let us know about all of the different things that you offer and what you think is your sweet spot.
Yeah. So I love launches and like getting launches converting. So a lot of my favorite stuff is like the sales pages, the emails, the Facebook ads. I enjoy websites as well, but I really enjoy like that copy side. And there's a difference between copy and content. So copy is more that conversion piece for those launches and for getting those sales and for converting them into like what you want them to continue, that next step. Mm-hmm. Content is more of the social content and the blog posts. Those are more of that like educational feel, entertainment, inspiration, where it's getting them to more connect with you and be intrigued about who you are as a person and what you stand for. So they're starting to be more intrigued about who you are. And then the copy is what gets them even further into your world. So I like to do a lot more of that, like copy, getting them more in your world because I love psychology and really thinking about what's going to keep them around, what's going to get them to buy, what's going to get them to be like, ooh, like this is for me. How did they know? As far as the hooks, because you're asking about that, a lot of like right now, the biggest thing, and there's so many things you can do with hooks, but the biggest thing is the depth of understanding your person and including that right at the beginning. When I was doing my webinar, we'll just call it a webinar because everyone knows what that means, yesterday, reviewing someone's copy. And I was like, this copy would have worked just a few years ago. It's not like it was bad what they were saying. It was good copy. But because of the depth that people are needing now to be able to see that someone actually knows what they're talking about, right, knows that they can help them specifically, they're looking for like, are they speaking exactly this feeling of like they're sitting on their phone at dinner, scrolling Facebook, trying to respond to messages and doing all this stuff while their kids are trying to get their attention and you're not hearing it. Like they want that specific of language. And that's what's going to catch their attention at the beginning of all this so that they want to keep reading.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a good point. And I do feel like a lot of the newsletters I get aren't getting to that point, right? They are kind of, maybe they're storytelling, but they're not storytelling things that I need to necessarily, that's going to engage me. And sometimes they're too long. So how do you know like that sweet spot of how much content is the right content in terms of, or how much copy, I guess I should say, versus content is the right amount to make sure that you're making an impact?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I vary, like every email is different because every person is different. You have different buyers. And so some of the buyers are going to be more intrigued by that emotional storytelling and they're really going to pull in. Well, there's other times where I just do direct to the point. So it could be like there's a popular 7 or 9 word email. I think it's 9 word email where you're just like, hey, does this sound like you? Respond back with the word XYZ and I'll give you more information about that next step. But it's just like super to the point, direct. And you want them mixed because you're going to catch people at different points. So that's going to be the key is that not every email's the same. You're not predictable in what you're putting out there. You're actually varying it and touching on different parts of what the person needs.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I also know it takes, 5 to 12 touch points to convert people out of times throughout all of the different ecosystems. So is that part of what you do as well? You make sure that the content, I'm going to keep saying the wrong word.
You're good. You're good.
But that what they might see in an ad versus what they're going to see on a landing page versus what they're going to get in a newsletter has the same message. Because I think that's also with brand, a lot of times people are not connecting all the dots and making a fully integrated strategy.
Yes, that is huge. Because if at one point I'm saying like you want to come home from your job, and then another point I'm saying you want to make more money so that you can pay for the bills, it's two different messaging of like, what is it? Are they at a job where they want to come home, or are they a stay-at-home mom and then want them to pay their bills? Like, what is it? And so that consistency and that smooth journey from step to step in the funnel that you take them through is key for them to have the best success for conversion.
Mm-hmm. And what about headlines? I think that's something I know when I use my email newsletter system, it'll say, oh, this is too many. It'll show me like, is this too many words? Is this going to convert? But how do you figure that out? If you don't have those AI tools, or if you want to actually think about what's going to be really authentic to me coming from my brand to the reader.
Yeah. So I'll give some tips, but the very first thing I'll say is look at the data. So test different things out, test different types of headlines and see what's getting the best open rates within the emails that you're sending. So that's the very first thing I will say is test it, check your data. What is your audience responding best to? But what I have found, some of the best headlines are the most intriguing ones. And so it's like, I have a client right now where she did one that was like, the one time I had to pee on a tree or something like that. And people are like, huh? Like, what's this about? And then there's like, you could put one word like escaped. And people are like, huh? What is that about? So one word subject lines are another thing that you can do because there's not much to it where they're like, tell me more. So that intrigue side is one side of it. The other side is very directly telling them what is in the email, because then if they know that they need that, they'll open it as well. So that means like saying open for the answer to getting your next client in the next 24 hours. And so they're like, ooh, like I need a client right now. Let me know what that answer is. So there's two sides to it of intrigue to get them to open, but also the other side that's very direct. And so they can say, oh, I need the answer to that. Like I want to know, and they'll open it that way.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, in your work, you said you like launches. Are there specific categories or industries that you prefer to work with?
Yeah. So I work with a lot of coaches and course creators, and typically within like that self and business help world. So I work with business coaches, personal development, health coaches, life coaches, parenting coaches, marriage coaches, cash, like financial people, that type of world. So making the world a better place at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. And has there ever been a time when you were working with somebody and you realized that they weren't necessarily going to go through your methodologies to success?
Yeah. So there's times where I will do something and then they're like, are you sure on that? And so we have to kind of come to a middle ground. One, I give examples of like what should work, like from what I've seen. But also you want like you'll teach them, like this is what I've done is I've taught them, but also I keep in mind the client. Like they also have a certain brand that they want to put out there as well. So we're trying to make sure there's that combo of like making sure their brand is on par while also being like, well, I've seen this probably won't convert, but we can also test it. Like
Ah,
that's the
okay.
beauty of marketing. It's always a testing thing. So even if I'm like, this is for sure going to work, like I already know that's going to work. I've seen it. Sometimes it doesn't work. And then we're like shocked, like, oh, that should have worked. But that's why you're constantly testing and getting that feedback from your audience and then making those tweaks. Like don't start from the very beginning and rewrite everything or do a totally new sales page. Take that feedback and say, okay, so they didn't quite connect with this. Let's adjust the headline. That's usually the first place. Let's adjust the headline. Like in an email, it would be like that first sentence or the subject line. If it's not opened on a sales page, it's always that headline. I'm like, change that first and see if that makes a difference to up that conversion.
Okay. Yeah. So you're saying it's not necessarily that it's a failure. It's just a lesson to learn. It's data that we're receiving that we can then use to do, right, the next one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The data is huge because we can have beautiful ideas in our head, but if the people don't buy, that's data right there of, okay, they didn't resonate as much as I thought.
Yeah.
And it seemed like a great idea.
Huh. I'd love for you to share one of your biggest success stories with your clients, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So one of them that I worked with, they were in the health and nutrition world. And we're doing a launch for them with ads and everything. And they were, what they did, because there's so many health and nutrition coaches out there, is within their branding and their messaging, they were very specific on everyday health. And that was type 2 diabetics. Oh. And because it was so specific, we're able to speak directly to the medicine that they were told to use by the doctors, the feelings that they were having, the sluggish behaviors. Like it was so specific that they ended up having a 42x return on ad spend, which means like for every $1,000 put in to their ads, they get 42,000 back.
Amazing.
It's big. Like that's not something you see very often. And I've seen tons and tons of ads. It's a very rare thing, but it was because they were so specific. And that's like that make or break right now.
Wow. Kudos to you, because I know in the world of ads, if we're looking on Facebook or Instagram, we're deluged with so many ads that it's hard to break through the clutter and find that ad that really resonates with us as consumers, but also, right, for the advertiser side.
Yes. And something to keep in mind, like I'm a copywriter, so that's like a huge piece of it, but there's other elements that have to come into play whenever you launch too. And so rely on your words, but also keep in mind, like people are craving personal aspects to things now. I just wrote actually recently about how we as business owners, we're trying to pull away and be like, how can I automate AI everything
Yep.
and get away from that personal high touch experience when our buyers are actually going, I want this high touch personalized experience. And that comes from both being specific and also personalizing things a bit more, where you do a video where you get on a quick call with them, where like a little tip I did the other day for my webinars, I got on Bonjoro and did videos to them and speaking to them to connect with them before we started for those that signed up.
Wow.
They both sides now. So it's really key that you bring everything into play versus just saying, I'm just going to evergreen stuff these days and expect them to convert just with words. It's not how it works. And I, as a copywriter, I've been coming out and saying that, but it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. And things are moving so fast. You mentioned AI. It's interesting because I was just at an AI conference this week and found out that the statistics are that only 6% of organizations are really using AI in their businesses. I would say for small business and entrepreneurs, it's probably a little higher than that, or a lot higher than that. But how do you see, are people now coming and saying, well, I can just use AI to create all of this for my business. I don't need to work with another person. And how do you overcome those objections?
Yeah, so there's kind of a mix. I haven't had too much quite yet with that. What I'm seeing more of is people are expecting a quicker turnaround.
Oh,
Because they can go and put it in AI. And they don't have the time to just sit down, and because you have to do it a certain way to get to where they want it, they don't have time to always do that. And so they still want to outsource, but they also want it faster.
Interesting.
That's what I've been seeing a lot more of. And so I would say, especially if you are like in a similar field as me, you need to start utilizing AI. Like there's no way around it, because more and more businesses are going to expect you to have this quick turnaround. It's not going to be a full month that might get to write a sales page anymore or longer. They're going to expect it in a week or 2 weeks. And their launch is coming up faster than they used to plan before. It's like a month before, and they're like, we need copy like yesterday. Let's go. So that's what I'm seeing more of. And then also a lower for the content side, they're getting more of like the junior writers and the people like are in college looking to have like that experience, because it's a lot more lower level versus that copy side.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I still, and this is one of the arguments that I'll continue making, I think that AI is a great tool, but you still need that human element. Everything that we input into these LLMs, right? It's all based on human verbiage, human video, our ideas. And so to have original thought, we still have to be the ones who are maybe taking some of that, tweaking it though, to make it something unique.
Yes. Yes. Well, and you probably have seen this where people are just putting in what they want and it's just going to shoot stuff out and they post it. And so when you're scrolling, you're like, I've seen that language like 5 times today. Like I'm over it. Who do I even listen to? Or I've even seen ads for people that are teaching how to make your own course through AI. And I'm like, but does that person really know what they're teaching if we're just going to use AI to do everything? And to me, I think that's why storytelling and realness and all of this is coming even more to light and wanting more of that high touch connection, because we're wanting and craving that personal touch that a lot of people are pulling away from because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you see that continuing to change your industry?
Yeah. So one, I see the aspect that I was talking about as far as like turning that quicker turnaround time, but also you're going to stand out as a copywriter and within your own launches and within your own marketing if you actually go that depth and connect with them even further versus just that surface level copy that we used to get away with. We used to like, I've seen the templates and they're really like, you can just fill in the blanks and stuff. That's not going to be working, because you need the storytelling. You need to really understand your person. It's not enough to say you want freedom to travel anymore. You've got to paint the picture for them. This is like a totally out there project that I worked on, but I worked on a cigar company, and which is, I've never smoked a cigar in my life. So it was like a whole new world that I was introduced to. And they're on launching a new line that they created of cigars. And we even brought in that emotional language because they were bringing in cigars that most of them are a Latin America flavor. And they were doing more of a Mediterranean flavor. And so it's getting them to visualize themselves over in Greece and the snow, sand and the salt and stuff. And it's that type of language where they're experiencing it and feeling it and connecting with it, no matter product, service, course, whatever it is that people are looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. I know that you have on your website, which we'll link in the show notes, a freebie that can help people. What does that look like?
Yeah, so I have an opt-in for a landing page so that it's a nice little format for landing pages that convert the best. Oh. So sometimes we just put up like a quick little landing page and we're like, oh, done. And then it doesn't convert. So I go through the format, but also ideas of what you should be including within those sections. So what should you be thinking about so that you actually get the right people on your list? That's such a big part of it, is you can get like 5,000 people or whatever opting in, which is a huge number. But if all of those are not the people that you want for the back end and you're not speaking directly to the people that you want for clients, those 5,000 there's no point of them. So really making sure that you're nailing it when you get people on your email list of who you want to serve.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. I'm so glad. If anybody's watching this, you have to look at the sweetest little baby. who, is just sleeping and happy. And again, I love the fact that you can work and do something you're really great at and share your knowledge with the world. And you can do it with a smile on your face and with your latest son in your arms.
Yeah.
So
We're so blessed these days.
yeah, it brings me so much joy to see that. Is there anything else you want people to really understand about the world of copywriting, whether it is for their sales page, a newsletter, a blog post, a LinkedIn post, ad copy, that they just really need to understand fundamentally and something that maybe they need to think about more creatively?
Yeah. Really it goes down to know your person, know them inside and out. Like that is going to be the make or break. I messaged the people that signed up for the webinar I did recently, and someone said, launches are dead. And I was like, ooh, that's actually a good thing to talk about because they gave me that feedback right there of what they're thinking right now. So know your people, see what they're saying, ask them questions in your emails so that they can respond to you and use it as juice for content. So any opportunities you get responses from your audience, any opportunities to talk to them, even if you're like, hey, let's just get on a call. I want to hear more about what you're doing. It gives you language to put in that is more specific than just saying you want freedom and flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I love that you would be able to turn that on its head so quickly with your expertise. So,
Yeah. And it was one of the best emails. So it's because it's right from them and that's what you want.
interesting. Yep. Vanessa, I always close out. Of course, we're going to have your offer, your website in the show notes for everybody to go to. But I love to ask the question, do you have a favorite quote, mantra, verse, poem, family motto, words that continue to inspire you and keep you going every day?
There's a quote from In the Moment. It's going to leave my mind, but it's from a Cinderella story. It says, don't let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. And I learned it. I watched that show when I was like a teenager or something. It was forever ago, but that always stood out to me because how often do we see, oh, maybe that is going to like, maybe I won't be successful with this. Maybe if I put that offer out there, it won't succeed. But that fear is actually going to be the failure versus going for it and actually playing a game and getting that feedback that you need to continue to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I think a lot of people get stuck at that, taking that first step and the next one and the next one after that. Well, this has been a really lovely conversation. I'm inspired by the life that you've created for yourself. And I want everybody who's listening or watching this episode to think about the life that you really want to create and what that looks like and how you can make that happen for yourself. And that helps us bring our authenticity, our values, our full presence, right, into where we are. And I think that just opens up better opportunities for each one of us. So thank you for being here. And now you can get back to snuggling your little one.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And thank you to everybody who's watching this episode or listening to it. Don't forget to get that freebie offer. Again, it's vanessawildeco.com/launch, which we will have linked. So you can just click on it from the show notes and get to her website. And I'll be back again with another amazing guest to share their story, their journey, and some inspiration for you very shortly. Thanks for listening or watching to this episode of Your Brand Amplified. Don't forget to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast listening platform. And if you want to learn more, check us out at yourbrandamplified.com.